From Kitchener-Waterloo.
Thank you. My question is to the Premier. Earlier this week, the people of Toronto found out which neighbourhoods pay the highest car insurance rates. According to a Kinetic study, where you live is a determining factor in how much you pay. People who live in Malvern and Rouge areas of Scarborough, and people who live near Jane and Finch in North York pay an estimated $1,000 more per year than those living in Forest Hill. Wow. Does the Premier think it's fair that people living in areas that have the highest number of new Canadians, the highest rates of immigration, and some of the lowest average incomes in the province are forced to pay the most for their car insurance?
Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the question, recognizing, of course, we're all concerned about rising rates, and when it comes to auto insurance, it's why we've taken the steps, deliberate steps, to foster ways to reduce those costs of claims, enabling premiums now to have been reduced over this period of time by almost 9%. We're looking towards reducing them even further on average by working closely with the industry, by providing the most generous benefits to the people of Ontario, noting, of course, as the member just made reference, there are certain regions and certain locations of the province that have higher rates of incidences and accidents, while in some other parts in the north, they do not. The member opposite is suggesting that maybe we should increase the rates in the north than subsidizing the south. We're not going to do that, Mr. Speaker. That is not up to us. We are going to take every step necessary to let the market forces prevail and ensure that it's fair and that everybody pays the appropriate amount and reduce those rates, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary.
Mr. Speaker, this finance minister is living in a completely different reality than the people of this province outside of this building. Speaker, Ontarians already know they can't trust what this Premier and this minister say about car insurance rates. After all, the Liberal government promised a 15% reduction in rates that New Democrats fought for in 2013, only to call it a stretch goal earlier this year. Just last month, we discovered that auto insurance rate increases were approved by this government twice in 2016. We know that Ontario pays the most in auto insurance in all of Canada. Between 2001 and 2013, the people of this province overpaid for auto insurance by an estimated $3 to $4 billion. Wow. Can this Premier explain to Ontarians why the high cost of car insurance doesn't matter to her anymore?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, again, I want to reiterate, rates on average have been going down. We want them to go down further. Approximately 20% of the companies in Ontario has actually already reduced their rates by 15%. 50% of the market have already reduced their rates by over 10%. We're trying desperately to find ways to foster even greater cooperation and reduction in those costs. Part of it, of course, is that there has been fraudulent activity, there's been abuse in the system, there's been a number of interplays that is causing rates to be extraordinarily high in Ontario versus other parts of Canada. We're trying to bring more of that into line in order to enable those reductions. But the member opposite has to confer and agree to move more quickly on some of these matters instead of stalling and then not approving the very measures that were taken to reduce those rates. We're going to continue doing our part, Mr. Speaker. We're going to reduce those rates for the people of Ontario.